Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Police are hunting a potential predator who tried to coax an Ulverston child into his car yesterday morning. The 11-year-old schoolboy was unharmed, but detectives are now trying to find the man responsible. For more, we're joined by reporter Sean McComish. Good evening, Sean. What do we know so far?
Joe, the incident unfolded around 8 a.m. yesterday morning when the 11-year-old boy was riding his scooter to school. He was approached by a man near Buttons Creek on Eastlands Drive who offered him a ride. There was a brief confrontation when the boy refused, and he managed to flee the area without physical injury. Police are now hunting for an older man, described as 173 centimetres tall with wrinkles. He was wearing a blue t-shirt, tight red trousers and a blue bucket hat. His sedan is believed to have black wheel arch trims that go under the doors. It's hoped motorists driving past may have captured the man in dashcam footage. Meanwhile, Joe, police have increased their patrols around schools and bus stops in Ulverston, especially around school times. There's also been praise for the young boy. Detectives say he did exactly the right thing in refusing the stranger's offer. They're reminding parents and the community to be vigilant. Joe?
Secret testing of Tasmania's wastewater has uncovered the extent of our state's drug issues. The investigation suggests increasing amounts of methamphetamine are being used here, and Hobart is the nation's capital of cannabis consumption.
5 of Tasmania's wastewater treatment plants have come under scrutiny from the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, sampling the sewage to detect concentrations of drug indicators. The latest study suggesting increasing usage of methamphetamine.
This certainly echoes the information that we're receiving from our members that suggests that more Tasmanians are seeking treatment for methamphetamine use.
Hobart has been named as Australia's cannabis capital, with regional Tasmania also above the national average. Indicated usage of MDMA has increased, a concerning trend for treatment services after deaths at festivals attributed to the drug interstate. A pill testing push here after a trial in the ACT uncovered hidden ingredients.
It had everything as harmless from toothpaste to glue through to a drug that I can't even pronounce, which is through to including lethal substances within them.
Data from the Magistrates Court shows an increase in prosecutions for drug offences. Over the last 4 years, cases being lodged have increased by 43%. In the Youth Justice Division, it's increased by 92%.
There's been a significant increase in the number of people coming before the courts on minor drug offences. We believe the police should be focusing on traffickers, not on people with personal amounts of drugs.
Crime Stoppers currently running a dob-in-a-dealer campaign to try and hit the source of the supply.
The users are the victims in this particular issue. And the dealers are who we want to target. We want to remove illicit drug supply from the market and protect the users from the consequences.
We need to encourage those people with drug problems to get the treatment they need. By treating it as a health issue, they're more likely to seek the treatment they need.
This government has invested a lot of dollars into early intervention, prevention, rehabilitation. This government wants to make sure that people do not take illicit drugs because there is no safe way of taking illicit drugs.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A motorbike rider remains in a critical condition after a collision at North Hobart last night. Police were called to the scene on the corner of Warwick and Elizabeth Streets at around 6 o'clock after a black Harley-Davidson collided with a grey sedan. The 58-year-old female rider was taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital for treatment. An inquest into the death of an 11-week-old baby has heard the infant had rib fractures and swelling around her brain. Charlotte Lukenday died on February 25th, 2016 in the Royal Hobart Hospital after she was found unresponsive by paramedics at a home in Newnham. Today, the inquest heard from treating doctor Michelle Williams, who said the toddler had multiple rib fractures at various stages of healing. The findings were also supported by a forensic pathologist who found the fractures likely occurred at different times. The inquest continues tomorrow. Police have determined a bushfire on South Bruny Island yesterday was deliberately lit. The fire started in thick scrub around 2 a.m. and spread to a nearby shed, which was destroyed. It's estimated the blaze caused around $80,000 in damage. Any witnesses are being asked to contact Crime Stoppers. The State Labor Party is calling for an independent investigation into this summer's devastating bushfires and their impact. But with a number of blazes still burning across Tasmania, the government says it's too soon.
These are the fires that destroyed homes and more than 200,000 hectares of precious wilderness, still burning across the state. The Labor Party, flanked by unions, now calling for an investigation into the fire's cause, the response and what we can learn.
We'd like for there to be an independent chair that can go and hear from communities and receive submissions, because it's the communities who've been directly impacted by these fires, as well as the firefighting response.
There's a lot of prep work that needs to occur leading up to any inquiry, and that should start sooner rather than later, before we're into the next fire season.
2 reports were written following Tasmania's 2013 and 2016 fires, but some recommendations have not been acted on. Unions saying we still need more remote area specialists and firefighting staff at Sustainable Timber Tasmania and the Parks and Wildlife Service.
That's always an ongoing conversation that we have with TFS and government in regards to staffing and particularly training.
Not enough is being done to ensure that there are a suitable number of staff left in our national parks to manage the workload when everyone's off fighting fires.
But the government says it's too early.
There are still fires burning in Tasmania, so we want to make sure that we get through these remaining weeks, and after the fire season is finished, like we always do, we'll undertake a review at that time.
Towns from Dover to Medina still remain on advice fire alert levels tonight. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has long been known as the gateway to Antarctica, but today it's been revealed the sector is worth a massive $186 million a year to the state. A new report finding Antarctic and Southern Ocean organisations employ 855 full-time equivalent Tasmanian locals, up by almost 100 in the last year. The report finding the industry is expected to keep expanding over the next 5 years as further infrastructure spending rolls out. Tasmanian health studies are getting a boost tonight, with the Royal Hobart Hospital Research Foundation awarding grants. 14 studies have been funded looking into projects tailored to Tasmanian needs.
We're going to be looking at nutrition issues amongst inpatients at the Royal Hobart Hospital, particularly those who are aged 65 and older, because poor nutrition is a big problem amongst that sector of the community.
There are several cardiovascular research projects this year, so into everything such as heart disease, stroke and also blood pressure. We've got 2 different studies that are looking at management of kidney disease in different ways. We've got a very high rate of kidney disease in Tasmania.
A major project grant has been awarded to a study examining obesity in mothers pre and post giving birth. A new sanctuary in Tasmania's northwest has opened its doors to dogs whose owners have passed away. It's hoped the service will encourage more people to plan for their pets in their wills.
Meet 10-year-old Labrador Lucy. At the moment, this small home in Sprayton is entirely hers, but soon she'll be sharing it for a worthwhile cause.
Most people, when they pass away, their dog ends up in a concrete run at the pound, or some even end up getting put to sleep because they have nowhere to go.
Across 2 sprawling acres, dogs can live out their retirement, all under the watchful eye of this woman.
And I've been given the best job in Australia to look after these dogs. I'm going to be the caretaker here.
Inside there's plenty of canine comforts. Paw marks on the walls won't be an issue.
If animals are used to sleeping on the bed, well, there'll be a bed here and they'll be sleeping on it.
Her hound Lucy will also be welcoming new arrivals. But the sanctuary does raise the serious issue of what happens to our 4-legged friends if we die. Some have already bequested their pooches to the sanctuary.
Yes, I'm hopeful that they'll pass before I do, but with one at 4 years old and the other at 18 months, I've got my doubts.
The Hannah Foundation hopes to secure more homes in the future.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
As the female participation in sport continues to grow, the first round of a new government grant program will see upgrades to 21 facilities across Tasmania. North Hobart Oval was announced as one of the successful applicants today, using each share of the $10 million funding pool to upgrade its change rooms. The Levelling the Playing Field program is working to ensure women and girls have appropriate resources to play and feel comfortable at their sporting clubs.
When I let them know about this announcement today, one of them said, does that mean I won't have to get changed in the urinal anymore? So, I mean, I think that in itself is a great endorsement of this program.
Other facilities in line for major change room upgrades include Pembroke Park and the Ulverston and Westbury recreation grounds. Tasmania's longest foot race is attracting more interest than ever. More than 500 people will tie their laces for Gone Nuts in 2 weeks' time, with some preparing to tackle the full 101-kilometre challenge.
It's one of the most scenic ultra-marathons on the planet, covering a series of exotic stomping grounds from the Nut to Rocky Cape. So it's no surprise organisers are seeing entries snowball year on year.
It's about 60% fitness and 40% mental, to be honest with you. So as long as you've got the desire to make the distance, you'll do it.
After some teething problems in its first 2 years, organisers now believe they have the plan right. Only a few adjustments are being made to improve safety.
The course is not the same. We've managed to get off Tollymore Road and Table Cape Road using more private land. 500
people have entered for this year, from a 25-kilometre effort to the full 101-kilometre gut buster. Luckily, landowners have been willing to offer access to their properties.
They are very, very accepting of it. It's a very good idea. Some even offer different courses across their property to get a better view for themselves.
Runners go nuts on the 2nd of March. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's crayfishermen have been thrust into the spotlight thanks to a new TV show documenting the highs and lows of the dangerous job. And while it may bring the industry more exposure, those working to keep it afloat are still facing some big challenges.
He's one of the stars of the show, but Clive Perryman has been too busy working for a living to see himself on the silver screen.
It's quite unique what we do. We get around in some of the most beautiful remote areas in Tassie, and we do something that we love and we're proud of.
The crew of Minamurra 2 are one of several Tasmanian crayfishing boats featured on the new show Aussie Lobster Men, showcasing what life is like for those chasing an export product now in fierce demand around the world.
When it's good, it's really good, and sometimes when it's bad, it's frustrating, and you do have to have a strong sort of character to be out there for periods of time. It's a great opportunity for the viewers to connect with what we do.
And despite being portrayed as a highly lucrative industry, Perryman says you can't believe everything you see on TV, with boats unable to pile as much product on board as previous years in order to ensure the sustainability of stocks around the state.
You'll hopefully see that it's not all beer and skittles, as they say, as far as making money.
And while numbers are on the rise following a lean period, the industry doesn't feel like it's out of the deep end just yet, with crews now needing to relocate rock lobster populations from Tasmania's southwest to less productive waters off the northwest and east coasts, in the hopes of providing catches like this for future generations of Aussie lobster men. Tom Cooper, 7 Tasmania News.
Football on the northwest coast has been dealt another blow, with the Smithton Football Club pulling out of the Northwest Football League due to a lack of players. A crisis meeting last night failed to fix the problems facing the club, with the decision likely to have the biggest ramifications for talented juniors.
With only weeks to go until round 1, these players didn't know Tuesday night's training would be their last. The club's season was suddenly shelved in the hours to come. A tough decision forced onto the club by a lack of players.
A lot of discussion, a lot of emotion at the same time. But look, we just pulled all our numbers apart and and grouped it into the age groups and the divisions that's required, and yeah, we've just come up short, unfortunately, to be able to fill the sides.
The club's senior, junior and women's sides have all withdrawn from the NWFL, reducing the league to 7 teams. The season roster will be redrawn, a bye will be introduced, and urgent talks will be held with AFL Tasmania to try and ready the club for a possible return in 2020. Last night's crisis meeting offered a snapshot of how much trouble the club was in. Although well attended, it was no silver bullet to the shortfall of players. Anxious locals had held out hope.
I'm just hoping for the best that we get a team for the under-12s.
This is a home club to me, obviously, and it breaks my heart to see it go under.
The recess comes in the club's 100th year. It's been starved of success recently, with the club's last premierships in 1991 and 1983, a team later inducted into the Tasmanian Football Hall of Fame.
Smithton came from a seemingly impossible position to defeat Kiwi and win their first ever NWFU Grand Final.
Out comes the big fellow with the ball. Parsons puts the ball up to the forward line, looking for Maguire. Up he goes and Maguire marks. Listen to the crowd.
It's been here forever for a lot of people. They live and breathe by footy, and it's probably no different to any other place in Tassie.
A rebrand from the Smithton Saints to the Circular Head Giants saved the club when it was facing similar issues in 2016. There would be no salvation this time around, with the idea of fielding only senior teams knocked back.
From a club point of view, it makes it very hard to survive, and also from an opposition point of view in a league, I just don't think that's an option.
Football's issues in the northwest have been well documented, but Smithton has the added pressure of sharing the region's dwindling player pool with the local Circular Head Football Association. Other NWFL clubs have offered to take Smithton's juniors, including the Penguin Football Club, which had even shared the team's impassioned plea for help on Facebook. But after 100 years, 44 grand finals and 20 premierships, this grandfather of Circular Head football is only just hanging on.
From a board point of view, everyone involved, we've all done, what we possibly could do, and it's probably not too much more that, we could have done. And while it doesn't make you feel any better, it's, that's the process that we had to take, and yeah, here we are.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian State League women's competition is preparing for a new era with the introduction of 2 new sides in Lauderdale and North Launceston. The official 2019 fixture for the expanded 6-team competition was released today and will see action get underway on Anzac Day, with reigning premiers Glenorchy set to host the Tigers under the lights of KG5. Round 2 will see a triple-header gala day at UTAS Stadium on Sunday, May 5, with the top 4 sides at the end of the season set to compete in an expanded 4-week final series. To cricket, and Tigers skipper Matthew Wade is keen to keep up the form, which recently saw him named Domestic Player of the Year, when the side's Sheffield Shield campaign continues against South Australia this weekend. And despite winning just 2 of their first 6 matches, the Tigers remain just 1 win outside the top 3 and still right in contention for finals.
A couple of away trips and then 2 home games, so if we can get the momentum early and then ride with it into our last 2 home games, then you never know.
Aussie Test skipper Tim Payne is expected to play to clock up some match time ahead of August Ashes series.
He'll wicket keep. That's for he'll certainly take the gloves, and he'll bat 6 or 7 depending on what makeup we go. If we go with a spinner, he'll probably be at 6. We go without a spinner, then he'll probably bat at 7. That's probably how we see it at the moment.
Wade is also confident George Bailey will return into the side later in the tournament, despite the veteran expected to miss at least the next 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. The roster for the new NBL 1 League has been released. Tasmania's 3 teams will open the season at home, with the Hobart Huskies hosting the Southern Sabres on Friday the 29th of March at its new base in Kingston, while the North West Thunder and Launceston Tornadoes will open their accounts the following night. The league has confirmed the Thunder and Tornadoes will host some double headers during the season at Ulverston and Elphin.
Good evening. Friendly Beach is the top today with 25. Temperatures over the east
close to average, but they mostly fell between 3 and 8 degrees below across the state. Hobart, Launceston and the northern coastal cities all on 22 degrees. Mostly fine, apart from a few light showers over the west and south. Cressy 24, St Helens 23, Flinders Island, Smithton and Ouse 21 today, Lowhead 20, King Island and Grove 19 and Strawn 17 degrees. Low-level cloud over the state today, the light striping caused by mountain waves. More low cloud over the southern ocean. Cloud containing thunderstorms was over the New South Wales coast, western parts of the Northern Territory and southern WA. Tropical cyclone Omar over the Coral Sea. Tomorrow a cold front nears our southwest coast. A high over Adelaide extends a ridge over eastern states. A long trough evident over the mainland. West to southwesterly winds at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over southern waters, decreasing in the evening. Swells to 4 metres in western and southern waters. Strong wind warning from the top of Flinders Island down to St Helens Point and from Wineglass Bay to Sandy Cape. A possible shower for Hobart, 11 overnight, 20 the high tomorrow, 18 the top for Cygnet and 19 for New Norfolk with a shower or two. Launceston 22 and partly cloudy, Devonport 21 and Campbelltown 20, fine but partly cloudy for those centres. 21 for Burnie, 17 the top for Strawn with a few showers, a cloudy day for Smithton and 20 degrees. 23 and partly cloudy for St Helens, 22 the top for Swansea and Fingal. UV still very high at 8 and 9. On Friday, fine apart from a shower over the west and far south with westerly winds. An early shower clearing quickly from the south on Saturday, leaving it fine statewide. And on Sunday, another fine and mostly sunny day with northeasterly winds. 27 tomorrow for both Perth and Adelaide. Cloudy for Melbourne and 20 degrees. Showers easing from Sydney, 26 the top. A little cloud over Brisbane. 17 degrees and cloudy in Hobart, fine in Launceston 20 and in Devonport on 18 degrees. That's our midweek weather. Joe, you'll be impressed. The weekend's shaping up pretty well.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you very much for that, Murph. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening and we'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.